Investigative records from Rikers show Rose and other female inmates immediately believed the new inmate was clearly male who infiltrated when they are clearly not transgender, that the prisoner stated openly and publicly that he was not gay nor trans, and that he's a whole man that likes women.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a crazy story coming out of New York City, and to be specific, the Rikers Island jail, an infamous jail with horrible living conditions. And this story takes that horrible condition and magnifies it tenfold. A male, a biological male who is straight, heterosexual, was able to infiltrate the women's prison by posing as a transgender. When he gets to the actual dorm, as you heard in the beginning, he says, look, I'm not gay, I'm not trans, I'm a whole man and I like women. And of course, unfortunately, at least one, maybe more women were assaulted by this man. Now, there's a lawsuit and hopefully there's some action taken in favor of the prisoner or prisoners who were suing New York City over this, because look, I understand, okay, you're in prison, things can happen. If you're a male with other males, sometimes there's male on male sexual assault that happens. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying this should happen. Whoever does that should be charged appropriately for that crime. But it can happen because you're dealing with males who have the equipment to be able to do that kind of thing. Now, when you're talking about a female prison, that shouldn't be going on. At least not with the inmates. Now, you may have guards that do crazy stuff. That's a different story. But the inmates, imagine you have a cellmate you got to sleep in the same room with, and you locked in there with bars or the door that has a crazy latch on it. You can't get out. You're trapped in there with this man who, again, is not gay, not trans, not nothing. He likes women. And then you get assaulted. I think there was a story, it might have been New York City as well, where one of these biological men got two women pregnant inside of prison, inside the actual jail, posing as a transformer or whatever the case may be. Now, we have full video, and before I get into it, of course, the video will be in the box. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We're back with an I-Team exclusive. A former prisoner in the women's jail on Rikers Island is now suing New York City. She says she was raped by a heterosexual man who was posing as a transgender woman behind bars. As the I-Team's Chris Glorioso reports, the alleged victim says jail staff ignored her when she warned them the inmate was lying about their gender identity.
Now, I want to be crystal clear. I don't care if the person was actually a transgender or gay or whatever. I don't care what the person actually identified as or what he didn't identify as. You can't actually identify as XY. Either you have it or you don't. And since he had it, he shouldn't have been with XXs. Let's simplify it there. I don't care what color, black, white, Puerto Rican candy stripe. XX and XY is not race specific. It's not gender affiliation, sexual orientation specific. It is fact. Keep it right there and have that be that. But I digress.
I'll be scarred for the rest of my life.
Court filings identify her only as Rose Doe, and in this exclusive interview, she wanted to be clear about one thing. Rose says she has no bias towards transgender individuals. Her concern is with the City Department of Correction failing to prevent an imposter from pretending to be transgender behind bars. It was April of 2022 when Rose says jail guards brought a transgender woman into a female dorm. According to DOC policy, as much as possible, the department seeks to accommodate an individual's desired housing placement in accordance with their gender identity.
Now let's pause right here. Now, there was one incident where New York City also got sued because they put a transgender woman, a biological male, in jail with other males. And of course, the person got assaulted. Unfortunately, I'm not saying this should happen, but I mean, so the person got assaulted and sued. But That's crazy because you're still a biological male. It doesn't matter if you were transgender or not. That could happen to a regular non-trans male. That should be a criminal thing, not a civil thing. The criminal case should be with the actual assaulter, not with the, it shouldn't be civil with the actual city or the jail. But in this case, it should be a criminal thing and civil because it shouldn't have happened.
But Rose says this inmate immediately showed their gender identity was a sham. Investigative records from Rikers show Rose and other female inmates immediately believed the new inmate was clearly male who infiltrated when they are clearly not transgender, that the prisoner stated openly and publicly that he was not gay nor trans, and that he's a whole man that likes women.
Now, there's more. I kind of want to go back. You stated openly he's not gay or trans, and that they are there to get X, Y, and Z. You can fill in the blanks right there, but it's redacted.
Or trans, and that he's a whole man that likes women.
When this prisoner walked into the women's dorm, what did the prisoner say?
His introduction was, I'm not a transgender. I'm straight. I like women.
He said he was a straight man in a women's jail.
Yeah. After the captains walked out, that was his hello.
According to her lawsuit, on April 6, 2022, Rose Doe complained the supposedly trans inmate followed her into the bathroom and groped her. That same evening, the acting warden of the jail wrote this email saying, I feel that individual is not a suitable fit for the female dorm. But the new detainee was allowed to stay, and early the next morning, Rose says the prisoner raped her.
He just grabs me, put me behind, and take my pants off. He raped me.
It's laziness, it's incompetence.
Rose's attorney, Nicholas Liakis, told the I-Team the failure of the correction department to identify an obvious imposter not only endangered the entire female dorm, but also all trans prisoners who fought for the right to be housed in facilities that align with their gender identity.
See, look, they're fighting for the wrong thing. They're fighting for the wrong thing because you can't identify an imposter. It's impossible because you can identify as whatever you want, whenever you want. What is an actual real transgender person? You're born as a man. That's your actual biological gender. That's what you are. You can identify as transgender. How can someone say that you're not what you say you are when it's all about whatever you say you are? There's no way you're going to be able to win this if you're going about it from that angle. How are you going to verify a person thinking they're a different thing than what they actually are?
When someone is claiming to be something they're not, and it's to the detriment of the entire community now, because it will, it will cause concern.
The problem is the person is claiming that they are a woman, and they're not a woman, and that is the whole. That's the whole thing with being transgender.
Advocating for improved conditions of confinement.
Last year, advocates for trans prisoners implored New York City Council and the DOC to make it easier for trans, gender non-binary, and intersex detainees to get their choice of jail housing. Federal stats do show trans inmates are about 10 times more likely than others to report sexual victimization behind bars.
Can we talk about the likelihood of a gay male in prison being victimized by others? Because they exist too, people that are just gay and don't identify as being transgender. I'm sure there's a higher level of that going on, but we can't talk about that.
There's absolutely no evidence that people pretending to be transgender is a common occurrence, whereas there's ample evidence supporting the risk of violence and assault to transgender women being housed in a male facility.
Rose Doe agrees trans prisoners should be treated with dignity behind bars. She says Rikers guards did them a disservice by ignoring her warning.
They just took my complaint and they said that they were going to do something about it, and they never did.
The Department of Correction declined to comment on the lawsuit from Rose Doe, citing the active nature of the case. The I-Team is not naming the alleged rapist because that person has not been criminally charged, but that inmate has pleaded guilty in the assault case that led to their incarceration in Rikers in the first place. That inmate now housed in an upstate prison for males.
Well, there we go. Yeah, that's where he belongs with other males. That's where he belongs. And then somebody might try to say that he's transgender again, because, I mean, look, as I close, I want to say this. This whole thing is about people saying that they are something. How is it possible to verify something that is all about whatever they tell you? Hey, you know what? I know my chromosomes say XY, but I'm a woman. I identify as a woman. How are you able to independently verify that? You can't. The person might not even be dressing up or nothing. Look like Tim the Two-Man Taylor in the face and says he's a woman. Okay, you got to accept it. Now you have them infiltrating places where they really shouldn't be. And that was the fear from the very beginning. It's not anything else other than that. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this? How do you actually prevent this kind of thing from happening if you allow transgender women to be housed with biological women? If you allow that, how can you stop so-called imposters who really just are there to have access to women? You know, because you do have criminals, okay? You got guys that have been convicted of crimes, guys that have pled guilty to assault. So maybe they might commit another crime when they're in prison. Maybe they might tell another lie, another scam, another kind to get to a certain place, to do certain things they shouldn't be doing. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I mean, you got to solve one thing to fix the other thing. You trying to fix imposters, you're not going to be able to fix that, because the policy that's on the books that allow this person to get in there at all is the problem. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.